Greetings, fellow travelers. Welcome on into the tavern with us for the 120th level of the RPG Cave. I am one of your hosts, the level 199 Dark Lord, Ryan Turford, and I'm joined, as always, by the Doctor himself, the level 199 Battle Alchemist, Dr. Garret Blade. How's it going, Garret?
I'm doing okay. I was, a little technical hiccup in the beginning. I was trying to test out my laptop because I need to send my current laptop out to repair. But this thing runs on Linux, and that can come with many different complications.
As we learned today.
Learn. But yeah, I had Audacity. I was able to join you. Cameras worked and everything. It was just, I think the recording was blipping out a little bit in sound ports or whatever. It's just a nightmare, logistical nightmare. So
the sound ports. I love the way you said that, Garret.
The sound ports,
yeah.
It's something to do with that. But yeah, my screen's still busted. Like I cannot use my main screen. That's why I have to use my monitors. And then my laptop, this other laptop works just fine. I have my notes on it, so that's why I have it pulled up. But
okay,
yeah, I'm doing okay.
Nice. That's good. That's good. Good. I'm doing well. I mean, clearly I need to mail you out like a sound blaster sound card to throw in your machine, Garret, because everyone needs a good sound blaster in order to
can you connect that via USB? Can you
No, you gotta slide it into your PCI slot, Garret, because you've got a whole bunch of those free, right?
Yeah, sure. My laptop, that's totally enclosed with no PCI slots. Definitely will work.
We're a bunch of computer dorks today on tonight's episode of the RPG Cave, because of course we are. That's just what we do on this show. I mean, maybe people will have questions about PC stuff later in the show. Wink, wink. But anyways, Garret, we should probably, clear the dungeon of those pesky mobs and get into the show proper. So folks at home, if you want to support the show, there's a number of awesome ways to do that. Number one, if you're watching the live stream right now over at youtube.com/carpoolgaming, or if you're watching the video on demand later, don't forget to hit that like button, slightly tap that subscribe button. You don't want to hit it too hard, or else you'll accidentally unsubscribe, and you don't want to do that either. You want to say subscribe or subscribe to it, because that's what we want, of course. Or let us know in the comments below what you think is coming out in the world of RPGs in the year of our Lord 2024, because we would love to hear from you. Also, if you're listening on audio feeds, don't forget to, of course, rate us if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Maybe leave us a nice Apple Podcast review or like a little comment on Spotify. Or the main thing of course, that can help us is just hitting that subscribe button. If you haven't subscribed already, just like Yon32 did, of course, liking the stream. Shout out to Yon32. Mm-hmm. Also, if you want one big podcast feed with the entire Carpool Gaming cinematic universe on it, or some exclusive content, head on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/Carpool Gaming, just like Will and Fiona McKinnon both did, who joined at the free trial. We also had Nosif, Ian Keg, the Don Rob, and the Goobla King join at the exclusive tier. BobLoblaw joined the gold tier, and Jonas Young and Robby Bobby Miller joined that platinum tier. Wow. Of course, the Patreon's been popping off, Garret. I don't know if you've been seeing this lately, but people have been joining, man. They've been hopping on. They've been seeing the goods over on Patreon. We've released a couple podcasts just this month over there. Like It Could Be Anything. We've had a couple good pants episodes. So Patreon's been pretty sweet this month. So
that's super cool. I also want to shout out Seth in his Prince of Persia review from last week. It was super good. I enjoyed going through it and seeing, I like his mindset because he's very familiar with the Prince of Persia series. At least it sounds like it, and he loves Metroidvania. So it was good to hear from him what this game is and how I would approach it. I'll probably still wait on sale for me. I'm not a Metroidvania guy. I'm not a 2D, a hardcore platformer guy, but it sounds like I will give this a shot eventually. So
nice. I will also recommend as well, if people out there are out there, this is something that I've taken advantage of. Definitely, it's on Ubisoft Plus as well. That's on Xbox and PC, where you get the Ubisoft games day one, and it's fairly affordable, especially if you haven't picked up some of the other Ubisoft games that came out last year as well, like Avatar or Assassin's Creed. I mean, they're all on there. So I definitely highly recommend people do that because Prince of Persia, I think, is an awesome game. I really am liking it. So, although I've talked about it on Xbox Drive, I'm not a huge fan of melee-based Metroidvanias. I do prefer kind of the range-based ones, like stuff like Metroid or Axe Verge over Hollow Knight or Prince of Persia in that way, if that makes sense. But
makes sense.
Of course, moving on, Garrett, we also have a website, carpoolgaming.com, where all of our merch lives, like the former home of the shirt that Garrett's currently wearing, the Xbox Drive 300 shirt. I saw you showing it off during the intro, Garrett, so I wanted to point it out.
Let's go.
We also have an RPG Cave t-shirt up there. You can't still get the Xbox Drive 300 shirt, but we have other shirts there. Go check it out. Carpool Gaming
exclusive.
Well, without further ado, Garrett, it is time to read from the sacred text. We're just getting right into it. Last week, we spent like 18 minutes talking about whatever, but this week, we're gonna dive straight into this topic because I'm excited to do this. Because Garrett, it's been a long tradition on many podcasts that I'm on that we do like a yearly set of predictions at the beginning of every year. But then I went back and researched because I thought we had done predictions on the show before.
I thought we did.
Turns out we've done predictions for Summer Game Fest and things like that, but we've never done a yearly prediction show on this show. Like last year, we did the yearly preview where we previewed all the games that were coming out, but we didn't do predictions, like formal predictions like tonight, which is interesting.
Okay, cool.
So we're going to be doing this for the very first time, where we're going to do predictions, where Garrett and I each came with 3 predictions because, it's the world of RPGs. We're fairly limited in what we can kind of predict here. But we each brought two honorable mentions as well, just in case we've got some crossover. And I do have a prediction that I think might cross over with Garrett a little bit, but the rest of these, I think it would be unlikely if Garrett picked any of the other ones that I've got tonight. So we should probably be good. But we're going to also, I think, Garrett, do what we did on Xbox Drive and Nintendo Drive this week, where we're going to assign odds to each other. Where essentially, I want you to. So, for example, if I'm predicting something, I would like you to rate that prediction out of 10, whether it's 10 being like it'll never happen to 1 being like that's probably the most likely thing in the entire world, and then kind of use that kind of scale to kind of rate it. And then we'll check back next year to see who wins, the RPG Cave, championship, the competition.
I like it.
As you will. Oh, speaking of competitions, Garrett, I forgot to mention. I almost forgot about this.
Forgot.
Fantasy Critic. Is it going on right now? We just put up signups a couple days ago, or I should say yesterday. We are mostly full up on Fantasy Critic at this point, but we do, at the time of this recording, have some spots open in League C, which of course your boy is in. Ryan Turford. I'm in League C.
You're in League C. Nice.
Yes. I mean, I am also.
There are 3 leagues, right?
Yes, A, B, and C. Currently, we are full on both leagues A and B. Currently, League C is the only league left. I am also the returning champion from last year. So people got to come in and try and take the crown from me. I'm excited to defend my honor.
Wait, did you win the overall or your specific?
I won both League A and the overall.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I just beat because Drellesh came in second. Drellesh came in like
it was
a point and a half behind me. Yeah.
So I still managed the PSVG Fantasy Critic League, and last year Jan32 won. Congrats to him by a wide margin. But then we had 2 players, Shiv and Rudays. They were 0.13 points away from each other, like 0.13. It was kind of insane. So I love Fantasy Critic. It's a great thing. So go participate in any kind of league, whether it be just for fun. It really is just for fun. Just trying to pick out your games to see which ones, think is going to score high, and also which games you predict is actually going to come out this year or may not. If it's a counter pick, it's all around a good time.
Yeah, exactly. So for details on that, head on over to our Discord. The link is in the description of this video if you're watching on YouTube, or of the podcast if you're listening on podcast services. We have all the details in the Fantasy Critic section of the Discord. So head on over to that Discord and check that out if you would like to be part of Fantasy Critic this year. Well, anyways, getting back to things, Garrett, back to the real competition, the 2024
The
RPG Cave predictions. I'm so excited, Garrett, that we can finally like look into the crystal ball a little bit and then kind of like suss out what we think will happen in the world of RPGs this year. I might have gone out there a little bit on some of these, but you know what?
I've gone out here a little bit too.
I mean, I don't come here to make safe predictions, to play safe, Garrett. We want to, I want to hit the home run. We try and nail some of the stuff down. So, are you ready to get into this? Because I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm super down to get into this. Do you want to go first, or do you want me?
I was just about to ask. Would you like to go first or second?
Why don't you go first? Because I think I've been going first for like a while on a lot of different these like topics. I want you to go first.
Okay. Okay. I like it. Well, first up, Garrett. This one is probably this is probably the one that you would have seen a mile away from someone like me, because during the Game Awards, we got a little trailer from our little old company Sega about how they're returning to video games, and how they and I shouldn't say returning to video games. They've obviously been making video games for a while now, but they're returning to a lot of their old franchises. They're trying to bring a lot of these franchises back. Of course, we're getting like new entries in like the Jet Set Radio franchise, the Golden Axe franchise, the Streets of Rage franchise. So they announced 5 franchises in total that are returning, and they showed off like little bits of each of the games that they have in development. But they also mentioned that there are multiple other IP that they're also bringing back on top of these. So my prediction, Garrett, is that Sega will announce before year's end that they are developing a brand new mainline entry in either the Shining Force or the Phantasy Star series. Because I feel like, they've been relying on Atlas a lot for role-playing games, but I also feel like, it's also Sega's opportunity to really present like they're like a different spin on role-playing games than what Atlas puts out there. And I mean, obviously, we also have the Like a Dragon franchise that's now kind of becoming an RPG series, but I feel like they want to actually, expand a little bit more, bring back one of these 2 old school RPG franchises. I think it's more likely that it'd be Phantasy Star, because of the fact that, Phantasy Star Online is pretty popular. So what fans of Sega have been clamoring for a long time now is, why can't we get a traditional Phantasy Star game? Because, Phantasy Star Online is very popular, but like we, the fans of Phantasy Star, want to see a traditional Phantasy Star game come back at some point. Like them making another attempt at, going at like a traditional Phantasy Star role-playing game, whether it is turn-based, whether it is action-based, but just, a single player, standard, role-playing game. I mean, I would love both these to happen. But that's kind of my first pick, Garrett. One of those 2 will come back. I'm also saying that they're not going to be released this year, just that they'll be announced that they're making one of these 2.
Gotcha. So, yeah, do you think, these I would say reboots, what studios is it Sega internal studios kind of developing these games?
That's the thing. We don't know. We don't know. They haven't announced anything as far as who's developing any of these games. So, I mean, they could be developing it internally. They could be farming some of them out to, like other developers. We don't know. Like, they haven't said anything.
Yeah. I'm very curious. It was very cool to see at the Game Awards, but I'm still like in the dark of like what's going to happen. Because, they teased out like many like great games, and they look fantastic in that trailer. I'm sure we're going to learn a lot more information this year. And I think they have to run through the classic Sega checklist. And so I agree with you that I think either Shining Force or Phantasy Star is in that checklist, and they're going to have to do something with it. So I agree with you, but there's always an opportunity that it won't happen. So I wouldn't say this at a straight up 10. I would say an 8 for me.
Okay. I'll take it.
I think it's more than likely that they're going to announce something for either a Shining Force or Phantasy Star, but there's always an opportunity that it won't.
And I want to preface this for future Ryan, who's of course tabulating these points in the future. When I say mainline entry in these series, I don't mean like some kind of weird spin-off or, you know, what we've been getting. So for example, like in Shining Force, I'm not expecting an action RPG or like Shining Resonance Refrain or something like that. When I say mainline, I mean like going back to being a strategy role-playing game. So
yes. Yeah, I agree with you. It's you know what they're doing with every other game that they kind of teased in there. Like it's a reboot. It's not some sort of spinoff. It's a mainline game. So yeah, sounds good. I like that prediction. It's a good prediction.
I'll take it. I'll take an 8 any day of the week. You know, this is me swishing or slamming the ball in the basket. That's what people talk about in basketball, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what they do. Yes.
I don't know sports terms. Okay, Garrett, I don't know what you want from me, but
me neither.
All right, Garrett, give me your first prediction, man.
First prediction. Let's do some. Man, I have 8 on this list, and of course, I have some top hitters. But I'll start out with this one. Pokemon presentation in Pokemon National Day, as you know, is in late February. This year, it's February 27th, 2024. Ooh. And what I expect, of course, is always a Pokemon game announced. Now, I want to be more specific on this. So I'm going to say it's going to be either a sequel or spiritual successor, whatever you want to call it, of the Pokemon Legends game. You know, the one that came out, Legends Arceus, whatever, came out earlier, actually a year ago now, or a couple years ago.
Two years ago. Yeah.
Yes, it came out 2 years ago. And so they're going to use the same 3D model engine as, you know, Scarlet and Violet and also Legends. This will be placed in the Kanto and Johto region. Like they're going to be mashing both of these two together. It's going to be more expansive. It's going to be announced for Switch. It's going to be on the original Switch. Of course, it may go over and cross whatever into Switch 2. And I imagine Switch 1's going to run terribly. It's going to be riddled with performance issues, whereas Switch 2 is going to probably make it out and be okay. So that is my prediction. They are going to announce Pokemon Legends 2, or the sequel to Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Okay.
And there you go. What do you think, Ryan?
I like that. I think that's a good prediction. I feel like with the Switch 2 this year, assuming that it for some reason doesn't get delayed beyond this year for whatever reason, but with assuming the Switch 2 is out this year, I don't see how they make it through the year without a Pokemon game of some kind. Like it makes perfect sense. Like, and I don't think they're going to do another mainline game because like, especially after what happened with, you know, Scarlet and Violet. Like I think you're in the right headspace with this one, Garrett, where I feel like this is pretty likely, but I'm still going to give you a 6 for being pretty bold with this one. Because like, I mean, for example, if it's a different type of Pokemon game, like if it's a remake of an old one, or if it's, you know, a brand new kind of like another gen game, then, you know, this obviously isn't going to count. So I think you've got degrees of difficulty here, Garrett, which is why I feel like it deserves a 6. I feel like this is a good pickup, and honestly one that I could definitely see them doing, and I hope that they do, because I think that this is the type of game that you want to have like within the Switch's launch window, a game like this. So I think it makes perfect sense, man.
Cool. I will take a 6, and I do agree with you. It's going to be a Pokemon game. We don't know what it's going to be. It could be a remake. I imagine it won't be, just because they need like just a home run kind of. It's some, you know, with the Nintendo consoles, they don't normally launch with a Pokemon game, so keep that in mind as well. So I think Legends 2 is a safer bet in my head, because they already have the engine there. I imagine they have a lot of the assets in there. It's just a matter of putting it together.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So. I like it. But
there you go.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm excited to see what the Switch's launch, like the Switch 2's launch launch lineup is going to be later this year.
I got some predictions in here, so I'm curious.
I won't talk too much about it then, because I'll save what I was going to say about it till we till we get there. I don't have a ton of actually Switch predictions, but you know
Okay.
what? I'll get my other Switch, my one Switch prediction out of the way right now,
Sure.
because it's actually not even a Switch 2 prediction. But Bandai Namco will announce during the very first Nintendo Direct of the year, that should, according to Seth Sturgill, will be next month in February, that a Xenosaga collection with the first 3 Xenosaga games is coming to Nintendo Switch. It releases in September and will be exclusive to Switch. Very similar situation to what happened with Baten Kaitos last year. I mean, we've been wanting the Xenosaga games on something other than the PlayStation 2 for a long time, especially because Xenosaga Episode 3 is still currently a $250 to $300 game. And people want to play these games, especially after playing the Xenoblade games. And I feel like this would be a good way of tying over fans of Xenoblade until like their Monolith Soft's ready with whatever is next from Monolith Soft. So I feel like releasing this trilogy on Switch is like a great kind of hold me over until that happens. And I think this would be a good year to finally get Cosmos on the Switch at this point, because obviously, you know, even though Bandai Namco owns the rights to the Xenosaga games, they've been working so well with Nintendo that I think they'll just release it on Switch only. Like it won't come to other platforms, maybe PC, but definitely not PlayStation or Xbox. But
I can see it being Nintendo published. I have a question for you. What platforms is the Xenosaga series on?
All 3 of them are on the PlayStation 2.
Got it. Okay. That's interesting. So you got 3 games that were originally on the PS2 coming over to Switch, and you don't think, I mean, I guess it would be, if it was Nintendo published, it would definitely not be on PlayStation. But yeah, I'm okay. So can you re-say your specifics with this one? It's the 3 games, right?
It'll be the 3 games, like remastered in a triple pack, similar to what we got with Baten Kaitos last year. And it will be published by Nintendo. That's also why I'm thinking that it'll be exclusive to Switch, just like Baten Kaitos was. Because even though these games were exclusive to the PlayStation 2 at the date of their release, you know, Sony's not tied to them in any way. So even though they released on that console only, there's nothing keeping them from releasing from releasing this on Switch, as an example.
Did you have a time frame on this or a release date?
September.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna give you like a 3 on this. I don't think this is gonna happen too much. I mean, I understand it's not like connected in any way with Sony. But at the same time, Baten Kaitos was, the 2 games were originally on GameCube. These games were not on a Nintendo console. So I could just see just not happening at all. Nintendo not being interested in it.
Hold the phone. Are you misinterpreting the scale? Because 3 would mean that it's actually very likely.
What do you mean?
So 10 means it's not likely at all. Like it's impossible.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes.
And then 1 is very likely.
Okay. I misinterpreted your scale a lot. I'm going to give you, sorry. Okay. So my original prediction, your first one, that was more than likely. I will give it a 2 or a 3. I'll give it a 3. I think it's more than likely that's going to happen. Your Sega, Phantasy Star Shining Force prediction. That's a 3. And then I'm so sorry. The other way around for this, it's going to be like a 7 for me.
Oh, okay. Okay. That seems fair.
This is not going to be, I just don't see it happening, more or less. There's a chance. But
telling me there's a chance.
I'm telling you there's a chance, but more often than not, I don't think either of these 2 companies are really thinking about Xenosaga in this way. So
I feel like they're thinking about it at least a little bit, because like I feel like there is a lot of Xenosaga stuff in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So I feel like there's like some thought with that IP just out there at some point. But you're right. I think 7's a fair score. And Yeah, and also don't feel bad, Garrett, because on the Nintendo Drive this week, Miles of Amanda literally did the same thing you did, where she thought the scale was backwards. So don't feel bad about that.
I'm glad we straightened this out. And
Yeah.
cool, sounds good. I would like it. Xenosaga would be super cool.
Yeah.
I would love to play it.
I think I just also just really want these games to get into more hands. In fact, that's just one of the themes that I usually like to portray, where I love the idea of old games getting into more people's hands. And in fact, I know we might talk about that a little bit with Drellesh's question a little bit later in the show. It's a little tease for later in the show.
Yeah, I like it.
Nice, Garrett.
All right.
Second prediction. What do you got, man?
All right, this one's going bananas, but are you ready for this, Ryan?
Bananas. I'm ready to go bananas, Garrett.
Phil Spencer and Xbox, they have a huge effort behind trying to get into the Japanese market, trying to get into the culture. They have a new kind of person. They hired a few new people over there to try to get more relative Japanese IP and get some sphere of influence over there. And I think this one would be a major pickup and a great collaboration going on at the Xbox showcase. What I predict is that Xbox and Mistwalker is going to come out. It's going to be some sort of collaboration involved, and it would be two whammies. First is they're going to showcase Fantasian, their latest mobile game, on the Xbox showcase, the console edition, day one on Game Pass, whenever that gets released. I think that's what's going to happen there. And then number two is going to be Lost Odyssey 2 teaser. The sequel, the Lost Odyssey 1. Let's go. Xbox needs that Japanese influence, and that would be just kind of a good, it's a sequel to their home turf. Lost Odyssey was that long forgotten Final Fantasy 10 or 12 game that's exclusive to the Xbox. I'm sure it would be right at home again. So there you go. That's my prediction. Mistwalker collaboration, Fantasian, and Lost Odyssey 2.
Jesus Christ, you're giving people hope with this one. People have been looking for some sort of hope that the people that Microsoft remembers that Lost Odyssey was a game that people liked. And yes. I don't like the fact they're doing this. In fact, Super Nintendo Dad hops in the chat and just says, give this man a 10. Because you know what, Garrett? I'm giving you a 10 on this because there is no way in hell that this is happening. But I feel like I have to respect you for it. I have to respect you for being bold and truly going bananas with this one. Be like,
a man can dream.
Banana. That's you right now. You're the banana guy from Donkey Kong 64. That's you right now.
Nice. Because everyone knows the number one Donkey Kong game that is Donkey Kong 64.
It is. I mean, it's not Donkey Kong Junior Math. It's Donkey Kong 64.
Oh man.
I love the fact too that I'm like, as soon as I said that, I'm like, I'm looking at Garrett's face and he obviously doesn't remember Donkey Kong Junior Math.
Dude, I don't know Donkey Kong Junior Math. I played Donkey Kong 64 quite a bit actually because I loved the Donkey Kong Country games when I was young. But man, nostalgia right there.
God, I'm sorry. I just hate Donkey Kong 64 with a passion. I hate that game so much.
Yeah, I don't hate it because it's part of my childhood. That's the thing. If I was played as an adult, I probably would hate it as much as you.
Well, I didn't play it as an adult. I was a teenager when it came out because I was in high school when the N64 was big, but I didn't actually own an N64. All my friends did, and I would go over to their places and play N64 games. And yeah, Donkey Kong 64 just never clicked with me. I just never liked that game. But that's enough about that. I don't want to be too negative about Donkey Kong 64. I want to be positive about.
There's some fans out there. They're so weird though. Anyways, keep on going. Right?
You've gone bananas, Garrett. That's it. You've officially gone bananas or gone plaid. Yeah, as the Spaceballs reference, of course, does that. But moving on, Garrett. I of course we mentioned before we have 3 predictions and then 2 honorable mentions. So here is my third prediction for points because I am ready, Garrett, to also go bananas, if you will.
Okay.
And I had to look this up because I was like, who actually owns the IP for this set of games? And I'm like, I need to find this out. So Square Enix surprises the hell out of us because they announce and release a brand new game in the Lufia series later this year across all platforms. So it's going to be they're going to be like, you know what? Despite the fact that people love, turn-based role-playing games, we're going to turn Lufia, a turn-based series, into an action RPG. And we want to go after that ease money or something like that, or make it more like the Mana series. So we're deciding to do this with Lufia, and I'm going to be very sad, but also excited because I love the Lufia games. And they, of course, just never get enough credit because, they were games on the Super Nintendo that a lot of people missed out on because they just had very low print runs, especially the second game, which is one of the best games on the Super Nintendo period. So my prediction was just that they were going to come out with a collection, but Square Enix doesn't really do collections, Garrett. As soon as I saw that Square Enix was the company that owns the Lufia IP, I'm like, no, they're just going to go ahead and they're going to turn it into some action RPG, but I'll still play it because it's a Lufia game, and I will play any brand new game in the series. But because I'm just that person.
Okay. All right. The fact that I've heard of this, but just like I have no familiarity with the series, it just speaks volumes of how how known this series is today. Square Enix, though, is known to kind of revive anything and everything in there.
That is kind of their MO right now, which is why I think there's like a tinge of believability to this, despite the fact that I think because the reason why Square Enix owns this, just so you know, is that they acquired Taito, which was a Japanese company that made a ton of arcade and NES games and Super Nintendo games, like a lot of games in the 90s, and they've literally done nothing with any of their IP since acquiring them. So
there's the last Lufia game was on the DS.
It was, and it was an action RPG.
It was an action RPG. Okay, but it reviewed pretty well. So there you go.
Because it was actually a action RPG remake of the second Lufia game on the Super Nintendo, which is the one that I say is like one of the best Super Nintendo games. Which is Lufia 2: Rise of the Sinistrals, for those that haven't haven't heard of it.
Yeah, I could see this being a December type of game.
Yeah.
If anything, there's a tinge of hope, but I'll give you an 8 for this because there's just so many other franchises that take priority over this. Yeah. I could just see another Dragon Quest game, like a Dragon Quest spinoff.
God forbid, Garrett, if they announced a brand new Lufia game and didn't announce a brand new Parasite Eve game, like what are we even doing here?
Exactly. Parasite Eve takes priority for sure.
Yeah.
1000%.
Even just re-releasing those games, for God's sakes. I mean, I obviously didn't pull the obvious Ryan Turford prediction of just predicting that we'll get Parasite Eve to come back, but God, I want those games to come back at some point. Square. Between this and Lufia, I'm just like, Square is holding all the cards to Ryan's happiness, and I'm waiting. I'm waiting, Square. Please give me these games. I would like to give you money for them.
So that's a good prediction. I wish you the best of luck with your dreams on that one.
Thank you. I will definitely take the 8 points on that one, Garrett. But
okay.
All right, Garrett, it is your turn. Give me your final prediction, my friend, and then we'll do honorable mentions afterwards, of course.
Yeah, definitely. This one's gonna be more realistic for you. Okay. You ready? Starfield. Let's talk about it. It's been a very divisive game. There's a lot of people, I think, initially reviewed it. It reviewed pretty well. I wouldn't say as well as other Bethesda titles, but it reviewed pretty well. And so I think after, I would say, it's just till now, after a few months, I feel like there's been more negative than positive feedback. So I think this year is the year of the comeback of Starfield. And I think we're going to see the reaction to it like we saw with Cyberpunk and No Man's Sky. So let me go through a little bit of specifics here.
Okay.
So February, they've already announced this. So I'm just kind of regurgitating. Sure. They have a roadmap. they have like kind of frequent updates that they're doing throughout the year. That's great. Maps will be implemented in February. I think it'll have its No Man's Sky moment like later this year once the DLC release, Shattered Space. And they haven't really done a release date yet with Shattered Space. But I'm thinking around fall timeframe, September, October. They're gonna throw in official mod support, and then by the end of the year, they're gonna do, hey, we're gonna still support this through 2025. Here's our roadmap from then on. So I think this game will have the longest support, and I think people are gonna go back to it. They're like, hey, it's on Game Pass. Let's check it out. Let's see what the performance. I'm sure they'll have a 60 frames mode. They'll have maps implemented and with official mod support, and then with Shattered Space, I think people are gonna come back to it saying, "Oh, this is as cool as the redemption arc as Cyberpunk or as No Man's Sky." So that's my prediction: is the comeback of Starfield.
Okay, because that's a little bit hard to measure. But like, I feel like if like, we look on Twitter or, other places like that, and people, if they're like, talking about Starfield, if a lot of people are hopping back into Starfield this fall, then I'd say you're going to be the getting points for this one. I think. Like,
Okay,
I feel that's the way we would measure it. Because I'm trying to think about in my head, vocally also saying this so future Ryan hears this to be like, well, how do we actually tabulate this and mark it as a win for you?
Well, Ryan, future Ryan, how you tabulate this, go to the Steam webpage of Starfield's mostly positive. It will be on the recent reviews. It'll be mostly positive. And I think it'll be positive. I forgot what the scale is. It's like there's positive, very positive, and like mostly positive, something like that. But both of them will be on the positive scale side. Right now it's on the negative.
Yeah,
weird.
I was gonna say the last time I saw it was like pretty negative.
But it's like the number 3 most profitable Steam game of 2023. So what are you gonna do about it?
Look, just because it makes money doesn't mean people have to like it. Okay.
Yeah, they gosh darn played 300 hours of that game and they just think it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine, Garrett. It's fine. This one, of course, you admittedly said it was definitely much safer, and I agree with you. It's definitely much safer than your other predictions. So it's definitely going to get your lowest point total from me because it is the safest one. Which is why I'm going to give you a 4 on this one. I feel it is. I'll take it. I feel like it's pretty likely that the redemption arc is in it for this game. The main reason I'm actually giving you above 3 for this, though, is the degree of difficulty that you added when talking about how we would measure the point, how we would measure this by talking about the Steam reviews specifically, because you are leaving this up to the hands of the Steam reviewers, Garrett, which it can swing wildly. Even if people like a game, they can totally swing wildly. So
you could totally have an update and be like, these stupid drivers are not working with
that's what game. I mean. Yeah.
I'm not getting 4K 144 FPS. I'm getting only 143 FPS.
Yeah,
I can.
That's what I mean. It's stupid stuff like that. That's why I'm like, you get an extra 2 points that I would normally give you on that top of this prediction, simply because of that. Because you're relying on Steam reviews to kind of swing the vote here.
Steam, what an interesting the review community is. It's something else. Let me tell you. I mean,
that's every fan review community out there. Like, God forbid, like looking at Metacritic. User reviews and things like that too are kind of a similar bucket when you compare them.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I like it. I like that prediction. I hope Starfield comes back. Like, that's a game that should come back. Like, this, it has so much promise, and a lot of people did like it, even in its current state, yourself included. So
yes,
I want more people to like Starfield, myself included, because I want to like that game a lot more.
I want you to go back to it, Ryan. I want you to play one of the faction quest lines. Like, no joke, you would enjoy it so much. So, but I understand waiting for maps. That's a extremely important kind of mechanic for sure in the game.
Well, between that and also thinking about the idea of like, if I know I also want to play the DLC, why not just wait till the DLC comes out too? Which also
that makes sense.
Enters my brain, especially with so many RPGs that'll be out in February or March. Like,
such a strong
I
year,
don't know
man.
if I'll have the time to play it. Like, whereas like over the summer is probably the best time for this game for me. Or even,
Makes sense.
the fall when the expansion comes out. So I think I'm definitely waiting on that. Whereas I'm already eyeing Garrett because I posted on Twitter a while ago my list of games I want to beat in 2024 that I haven't played
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
And one of them, I'm toying about the idea of just playing that now and getting it out of the way. So I'm actually thinking about playing Clock Tower 3 coming up. So instead of like, this could be the time, Garrett, where I could be playing Starfield, but instead since there's no maps, I'm going to play probably Clock Tower 3 instead. So there you go.
I think Donnie would love that. I know he loves the Clock Tower series, so
yeah. Well, we're also getting
right
the
at
other
home.
Clock Tower game this year too, which I'm excited about too. So,
cool.
But anyways, Garrett, getting back to our predictions, let's go over our honorable mentions. The predictions that just barely missed. My first one is actually one that I'm actually surprised you didn't mention, Garrett, and maybe it's on your honorable mentions. But a Fallout New Vegas remake is finally announced. It's coming sometime in 2025. It's one of my predictions.
Okay.
I actually think that at the Xbox showcase in the summer, they're going to announce this and people are going to go nuts because people like we of course have speculated on the show, Garrett, for a long time that like when's the next Fallout thing coming, because they can't just wait till Fallout 5 in 2036 to bring out something. And I think this is their chance to do that, to kind of like fill in the gaps a little bit rather than just releasing a new expansion for Fallout 76 and just calling it a day.
But. Yeah. I like it. I just man, I've been so jaded over the past year. I think one thing Obsidian is kind of have their hands full with other games, but I think also I would see Fallout 3 remake before Fallout New Vegas. So that's what if anything Fallout related, it would be Fallout 3. I know they're doing the Fallout 4 port,
the Series X
over.
Version,
The Series X and the PS5 as well.
Yeah.
For April, getting ready for the show. That totally makes sense. And I guess I'll show up my honorable mention of the Oblivion remake. We know it's happening. I think it'll be shadow dropped at the Xbox showcase.
Ooh, shadow dropped. I like the boldness there.
It would be day one Game Pass. Here we go. Oblivion remake, a remake of a classic Elder Scrolls series. I could totally see that happening.
With Patrick Stewart finally making his Xbox Series X debut. Right there.
Sure. Yeah. Sounds good.
Look, he's in that video game. Okay, what do you want from me, Garrett?
How is he in that video game?
He's the king at the very beginning that you're escorting out of the dungeon.
Oh man, I never.
And then it's some other star who's then like the prince that you're hanging out with for the rest of the game. The rest of the
interesting.
Campaign. Yeah, big stars in Oblivion, Garrett. But in fact, Patrick Stewart was all over the marketing for Oblivion. He was like he did the voiceovers for the commercials and stuff. I remember. But
nice.
the other big prediction I had, which also was one that I thought about doing for Xbox Drive this week, but I decided against it. A console version of World of Warcraft is finally announced. It is given a nebulous 2025 release window. Announced at BlizzCon. People have been asking for a World of Warcraft, console game for a while. We know MMOs work on consoles. So, I mean, there isn't like that, MO there. I mean, the only downside would be you wouldn't be able to use add-ons for the console version, but if they make the UI good enough, you're not going to need to, in the same way that Final Fantasy 14 doesn't need add-ons for the console version. So I think this is finally World of Warcraft's time to come to something other than PC, and it'll come exclusively to Xbox, I think. But
okay, interesting. I could see that potentially happening, but I can also see it totally not happening at the same time.
100%.
Yeah, that would be cool to see. There a lot of MMOs have been out on current gen consoles and been just fine, as you said. So nice. Okay, so for my final prediction or honorable mention, this was interesting. Atlas, of course, they already have two projects, huge projects, a major game coming out in a few weeks. My goodness, in a few weeks. But I think they're not done. They're gonna release Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor 1 and 2 overclocked, and it will come to Xbox, PS5, and Switch and PC. That was another prediction, and can be sold separately or as a pack, and it'll be a summer time frame, something in the middle to fill in between. Yeah,
nice. So. I like that one too. For a second there, when you started talking about Shin Megami Tensei, I started thinking that you were going to be mentioning the Shin Megami Tensei 5 finally coming to PC, because that's literally been rated by the ESRB for almost a year now, and it hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah,
that's so crazy.
That's so weird. But yeah,
maybe
I don't know if I don't know if it ever comes out at this point. Maybe they just chose not to release it at this point.
Maybe Atlas forgot about it. It's like, oh wait, we were supposed to do a PC port.
Yeah,
we forgot.
I mean, it's rated. We know that it exists. Like the ESRB does not rate fake video games. Like that's just how this works.
Yeah. So
yeah,
cool, man. God. I like it.
Cool. Well, I like these predictions, Garret. I feel like we got like a good list of predictions this year. So we'll of course tune back next year around the same time and circle back and crown the winner of the RPG Cave predictions.
Can't wait to hear about Mistwalker showcasing at the
I mean, we'll hear about Mistwalker while we're playing our copy of Lufia. Insert, random title here, available now on your PlayStation 5. Yeah.
I like it.
All right. We're going to bring in Savoy Prime, Garret, because Savoy Prime also had a prediction for us. My prediction for 2024 in the world of RPGs is that Falcom will get the Trails in the Sky trilogy on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 before the year is up, and Konami will announce remasters of Suikoden 3 through 5. That's interesting that they wouldn't do 1 and 2.
They already have 1 and 2.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah. That still hasn't come out yet.
No, it hasn't come out yet.
I forgot about that. And we just did our preview episode, and I didn't even mention it.
I think you did.
I didn't. We talked about Euden Chronicles, but not the Suikoden 2 1 and 2 ports, because I genuinely forgot that they existed.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, they're not dated, but they're definitely.
They were dated at one point, because they were dated for 2023, dated, yes. And then they never came out.
Yeah. So there you
go. Super Nintendo asks a very important question: does Lufia coming to Game Boy NSO count? No, it does not.
No. Yeah, it has to be from Square Enix, a mainline game that's an action RPG.
Yeah, some kind of new Lufia game, not a re-release of an old one. Trust me, I would love that. But Square Enix famously does not like putting their games on Nintendo Switch Online, so I don't even think that happens.
So, how much do you believe Savoy Prime here, Ryan?
I mean, I think Trails in the Skies trilogy, maybe. I think that would be a good one, but I feel like if that was coming this year, we would have probably heard about a Japanese release of it by now, because they tend to get announce those pretty early in the year. But even though they're coming much later, and they usually announce like the Japanese ones way ahead of time. So like, as cool as that would be, I'm gonna have to actually disagree and say no, not this year. It would be cool, but no.
So it's interesting. Falcom, they like to do these kind of current ports too. Like they did this with the Yeast series as well.
Yeah.
And the US and Japanese I think they were much closer together on these ports, these ports that go from like previous consoles to current gen consoles if it's already released in the US. So I think there's already been rumors about this Trails in the Sky trilogy, like some rumblings happening. So I think that this would likely to happen.
Yeah,
I wouldn't think all 3 games though would come out this year. I would think maybe the first one or the first.
Well, you have to you have to do, Garret, is look back at what happened with Trails from Zero and Trails from Azure, because those were in the same situation, because they were both PSP games that got up-resed and re-released for modern consoles. And it'd be a similar situation with the Trails in the Sky trilogy.
Not necessarily, because Trails in the Sky is already on Steam. That's the thing.
True, but I still feel like I actually agree with you with them like releasing them one at a time instead of
it's gonna be one at a time type of deal to PS4 and PS5. Yeah,
and I don't think like at this point, if they were all coming out this year, we would have heard about it by now, I think.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel about it. But,
yeah. And then Konami is definitely not going to announce anything with Suikoden 3-5 until they see the performance of Suikoden 1 and 2 HD.
I was going to say, like, I would say it would have been much more likely that we would have seen 3-5 announced and released if we already had 1 and 2 out by now. But because those aren't out, I feel like that any plans for 3, 4, and 5 wait until next year at this point. Because this is the year first we could in 1 and 2. And also, speaking of Konami, Garrett, we are going to hear about a new Konami collection of some kind next month. Because Limited Run Games has been doing some partnerships with them. And they announced like 2 new Konami collections, the Sparkster collection and then the Felix the Cat collection. And they said a bigger collection of Konami games is coming that they're publishing, that Limited Run is publishing. That's supposed to come out later this year. That's supposed to be announced at the end of February. So, because it's going to be on like this IGN live stream that they're doing. Because they have I guess IGN is doing like a big game announcement live stream in February. So I guess that's where that's going to be. So I'm interested to see what that's going to be. Maybe they announce another RPG franchise there. Maybe they announce something completely different from Konami. Konami has a lot of different games, so I'm curious to see what that ends up being.
They are an interesting company. Let me tell you, they're going back to their franchises, which is kind of cool to see. But at the same time, they're pretty hesitant of what they pick and choose, and they're not 100% in on the game development and the game industry in general. So.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we're still waiting for some kind of Silent Hill collection. We got Silent Hill 2 coming this year, and we got the Metal Gear collection last year. But like, where's the Silent Hill collection? Where's anything Castlevania related?
It's on the Xbox 360. It's via backwards compat. I just saw it on my
except for the fact that those 2 HD re-releases are terrible. Terrible.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yes, they're terrible. They barely play. They're not good.
Okay,
yes.
never mind.
That's what makes it even sadder, because they did actually do that at some point. But next up, we're going to go to actually skip down to the bottom to Darstradius' question, Garrett.
Okay. Sure.
Do you see Dragon Age Dreadwolf releasing this year? So this is the first part of his question. Let's answer this one first before we get to the second part. So do we foresee Dragon Age Dreadwolf coming this year? EA says it is coming out this year. Like that was their latest update on the game, was they said 2024 for this. Do we believe them?
No, absolutely not. I am not gonna even confirm a release year until I see something from them. Not a developer update, not some sort of art teaser. I need to see some showcase. I need you to be at an Xbox or a PlayStation kind of presentation. I need you to be at Summer Games Fest. You need to put out something major before I even think of a release year. That's my take on it. Yeah.
So then let me ask you this, Garrett. If we actually arrive at the Xbox showcase and you see the EA logo come up, and it's a dev diary for Dragon Age 4, what do you think about that? Where's the likelihood of that? Because you said if they show up at an Xbox showcase, it'd be great. You know?
No, it cannot be a dev diary. Is BS, whatever it is. It has to be a trailer. It has to be a teaser. I'm not saying gameplay, like showcase or anything like that, but I gotta see some sort of high production value presentation going on from this game before I even think about a release year. That's my take on it. Yeah,
I think EA got bold and said 2024.
No.
But I think they really meant to say 2025. I don't think this is coming out this year either.
Yeah, 2025 is more believable. And even at that, man, I don't know with BioWare these days. They're it's a make or break deal with this game. So I understand keeping this close to your chest and not even showcasing anything until they're absolutely certain. So
yeah,
2025, I could see that.
Nice. I also, Super Nintendo asked a very important question in the chat. Would anyone be excited for Panzer Dragoon Saga returning? Yes, please. I've always wanted to play that game, and it's super expensive. It's on the Sega Saturn. It's a role-playing game in the Panzer Dragoon universe, Garrett. And it's like the rarest game for the Sega Saturn. It's
okay, because I know Panzer Dragoon as the on-rail shooter game, right? Okay, cool.
Yeah, and those games are fun. I like those because I actually like the Panzer Dragoon games more than the Star Fox games. Like they're very similar to Star Fox, and I actually prefer it over Star Fox.
I love Star Fox, so that's a bold choice. Okay.
Especially Panzer Dragoon Orta, the original Xbox game that is fully backwards compatible in 4K on Series X. That game is awesome, and it's like it's I love it more than any of the other Star Fox games. Period. Like, I think it's much better. But yes, I would love to see Panzer Dragoon Saga come back. So yes, please give me that at some point. I know Sega like probably isn't going to do a re-release of this, nor are they probably going to do a new game in that style. If they do a new Panzer Dragoon game, it'll probably be like the old, like the original style instead, like the on-rail shooting. But we'll see. I would love to see that though. But other part of Darth Stridis' question is, let's play F, Marry, Kill, or play once and delete. Keep on consoles or never play. Of these 3 games coming out, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Persona 3 Reload, and Metaphor ReFantazio, how would you play them? How would you place them? So, Garrett, if you had a game that, of these 3 games, which would you keep on your console? Which one would you never play, and which one would you play forever?
Okay, so I think it's an easy answer for the never play because I just never playing the Final Fantasy VII series. So Final Fantasy VII series. Yeah, I mean that, like the collection of those games.
Right.
I just I don't go for them. So that's definitely Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Play once and delete is going to be ReFantazio, and then keep on console will be Persona 3 Reloaded. That's my take. How about you?
Yeah, this one's tough for me because I'm actually like very excited for all 3 of these games, but I'm gonna say the game that I keep on console but never play is Metaphor ReFantazio, and the game I play once and delete is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and then the Mary game, the game that I keep on my console forever, Persona 3 Reload. Is what I'd say.
Cool.
I'm in the same boat as you, I think, with the top choice, but just I am much more excited for Rebirth than I am for Metaphor. That I think that goes in there, but you never know. I think Metaphor could end up being a much better game than 7 Rebirth. But man, that trailer today, Garrett, really kind of won me over a little bit. There was a new trailer today for 7 Rebirth, and I'm like, I kind of wish I didn't watch it because of the fact that it just got me even more excited for that game. When I
saw already screenshots and comparisons to the classic game, which was kind of cool to see. On a lot of that. Yeah.
I also saw a lot of people freaking out because of the fact that the game is an open world game this time around, Garrett. But like the original game was an open world game.
So I knew that. Like I played enough of Final Fantasy VII Classic to know that it's freaking open world.
I know. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, what world did we step into here?
It's like, it's like Witcher 3, man. Like it's I'm just like, come on.
It was also like, it's actually a good comparison to all the people that were angry on the internet this week, Garrett, after playing the Prince of Persia demo. That Prince of Persia was the Lost Crown's a 2D game. But like the Prince of Persia series started as a 2D series. So it's just weird to me to think about. Yeah. Good God. Anyways, last question of the night, Garrett, comes to us from Drellesh, who says, "Greetings, fellow travelers. Ryan, imagine I was an RPG acolyte, much like Garrett is, and you had to send me to the library archives to select a few tomes in the forbidden section. Forbidden only meaning that these games are not available on modern consoles any longer, but there might be emulators on the Steam Deck to play. What games should we play in 2024 to enhance our appreciation of role-playing games? Select no less than 3 games. For example, these games could be games that Garrett needs to finish this year. Keen on your thoughts also because I might get a Steam Deck this year. Might. You might be a Steam Deck bro with you, Garrett. Drellesh.
Dude, that would be awesome. Steam Deck's the best. It's like, I would say any handheld PC is the best, but Steam Deck is really the best. I love that handheld.
Nice. So first off, Garrett, even though this was addressed to me, you are more than welcome if you have 3 games that you think fill in this void. you are more than welcome to recommend them. But I'm gonna rattle off my 3 because I feel like I've got them kind of locked in here. Number 1 is a game you've already played that you already know. I'm just gonna say, so I'm just gonna say it. Parasite Eve, 100%. Yes. It's not available on anything besides the PlayStation 3 or the PlayStation Vita. Yeah. And even then, I don't consider those modern consoles at this point. And like,
Vita is not a modern console anymore, man. It's 10 years, guys. We gotta. It's a retro console.
It's more than 10 years at this point, actually.
Is it 2013? Jeez.
Yeah.
Or 20. Wait. Is it 2013 or 2012?
I thought it was 2012.
Yeah, 2012, because 2013 was PS4.
Yeah, this is the 12-year anniversary of the Vita, Garrett.
Oh, that's too old. I still have mine right here. Yeah. The original Vita 1000 somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, right
there. And
right
eventually, too, this podcast will be dated enough where you will no longer physically be able to buy PlayStation 3 or PlayStation Vita games on the store. So you won't be able to buy these games anymore at this point. So that's 100%. Garrett, of course, knows that that's like a must play for anyone who's never played it. But
of course,
the other ones I've got, the other one I mentioned earlier in the show, Lufia 2 Rise of the Sinistrals on the Super Nintendo. It's a game that, again, not very common. It's fairly expensive. Like it is one of the rarer Super Nintendo games. It's definitely not up in like the upper echelon of rare games, but it's pretty rare. But it's also one of, in my opinion, one of the best role-playing games on the Super Nintendo, a console known for great role-playing games. So I actually think Lufia 2 Rise of the Sinistrals, great pick, and one that I would love more people play, because it's a one that just a lot of people missed out on. And then the third one that I'm going to suggest is Valkyrie. No, Valkyrie. I was going to say Valkyrie Profile, but then I remembered that they re-released it recently on PlayStation 5 for $20. So that is available there. So I'm changing my pick. I'm going to rewind that a little bit. I have to think. I would say
in the forbidden section.
What's forbidden? Rumor Super Nintendo, of course, says rumor has it Panzer Dragoon Saga runs great on the Steam Deck. It probably does, Super Nintendo.
Oh, it does. Yeah, it really does.
But guess what? I've never played Panzer Dragoon Saga before. So I actually don't feel in good conscience about, going ahead and recommending that game. So the other one I'll say is actually I'm going to say
Lunar.
Lunar is a good one, but I'm trying to think outside the box with that one. But you know what? Screw it, Garrett. You already said it. Lunar. I'll go with the PlayStation 1 version though.
Yeah,
I feel like because I'm forcing Garrett to play the Sega CD version because I want Garrett to kind of experience what my childhood was like, but I'm not going to force that upon anyone else. So I'm going to say the PlayStation.
I'll go through the suffering. You don't have to.
I'm going to say the PlayStation 1 version, the Lunar, the Silver Star Story Complete. I think that's a very good game as well. And that game is available on the PlayStation 3 in Japan only. So otherwise you have to actually play the PS1 version just on a PlayStation 1 or on an emulator at this point. So those are the three I'm going to say: Lunar, Silver Star Story Complete, Parasite Eve, and Lufia 2 Rise of the Sinistrals. But Garrett, do you have any you would like to contribute?
I hear Wii U games are they can play especially well in there.
God, the Wii U is an old console, isn't it? Oh my God.
That's hurts. Another old one. Yeah, definitely. And you can totally play. No, I'm just saying you can technically play this game pretty well. I've seen videos. I haven't played it myself. Xenoblade Chronicles X. Is now, on there and plays. Okay.
Now, fair warning, Garrett. It plays on the Wii U, but first of all, I don't know if you can play that on the Steam Deck.
You can,
but okay. Fair enough. Because I would say that's the way you'd probably want to play it. Because the Wii U, because they turned off the downloads for that console, you can no longer download the high res textures for that game. Yeah. Because that game is a blurry mess without them. So I wouldn't play it on the Wii U now if you haven't already played it there.
The high res text is in in Wii U emulator. So
good.
Yeah. You can play on Steam Deck pretty nicely. What else? Other RPGs. I mean, you can put pretty much anything in there up to Switch. Switch is still iffy on there.
Yeah.
Vita is iffy. You can't really play Vita emulator on there right now. You can play some original Xbox, some PS3 games, but it's not much. But other than that, PS2, GameCube, and everything down, it's ship shape. It's good to go on the Steam Deck.
The Xbox is just too powerful for the Steam Deck.
It is. I think it's just the emulator itself too. They always have to work out some.
Although I'm surprised that the Saturn works well, because the Saturn emulation has been for a long time has been terrible.
Yeah, they just kind of broke that threshold with the kind of the more expensive handheld machines. I would say like $300 up, you can get a good, even $200 up. Actually, there's another handheld device that does a pretty good job, Sega Saturn. Okay. But yeah, I think you're in for a good time for emulation on the Steam Deck. It does pretty well.
It's got some games, Garrett. It's got some games,
especially in your Steam library,
in the forbidden section. Got to head down to the forbidden section of your local library, Garrett. I mean, but back in the day when I would go to a movie store and they had that curtain there, they call that section the section for the movies for mom and dads over there instead of the forbidden section. But yeah. Anyways, Garrett, I think that's gonna do it for tonight's show. But before we go, Garrett, plugs go.
You can follow me on Twitter at Blind Explosion. You can also find me on the Discord. I am pretty active on RPG Cave, PC gaming. Ask me anything, of course, about Steam Deck or anything like that. I'm always down to talk about that stuff. And then also, I just want to know, I've been playing some Baldur's Gate 3 today because I had a holiday today. I don't know if you knew, but US had a holiday today, MLK.
That's very random. It's the 16th of January. What kind of holiday is that?
It's always the Monday. I think it's the second Monday of January. It's MLK Day, MLK Jr., Martin Luther King. Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Always like after 2 weeks of like work or school, we have a Monday off. It's so interesting. Nice. But anyways, we had that, and I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3, and man, it's so much fun.
I was gonna say, I saw your tweet about that. I saw you were very excited about Baldur's Gate 3.
I'm going into some adventures, and this little red clear frog, just messed me up. I didn't know what I was getting into. I was trying to talk to it, and it just destroyed me and my entire party. So I'm having a good time with it.
Nice. I think I know which frog you're referring to, Garrett.
Yes. Yeah.
Nice. As for me, you can find me on the old Twitter at Ryan Turford. I mean, I tweeted this week. I tweeted last night, Garrett, that I finally finished after 402 hours the great Final Fantasy 14 full replay. So I went back and played all Final Fantasy 14 from scratch last August. I started playing it, and I finally finished it again yesterday. 402 hours it took me to finish the campaign for that game.
Is the second time, right? This is like your second time playthrough,
which meant I was going through it faster than someone who hasn't played it before.
Yeah, you at least another 100, 200 hours on top or something.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I played it a lot, but it's getting ready for the new expansion. Of course, we're excited about it.
Are you gonna play on Xbox? I'm curious.
Maybe. We'll see. I mean, I definitely want to try it on Xbox and see what it's like, to see if there's any differences. Like maybe I'm curious to know if there's any like performance increases and whatnot. But I'm also, looking at Plumbers Don't Wear Ties Definitive Edition coming out in March, Garrett. So I only have so much time for games.
Of course. Yeah.
Also, you can find us on Twitter at Carpool Gaming, right here, youtube.com/Carpool Gaming. Of course, podcast services around the globe. So for Garrett Bland, I'm Ryan Turford. This has been the 120th level of the RPG Cave, and we're out.
Bye-bye.